everybody, this is Jack Miller with T360 for another Fireside Friday chat. Welcome. We know we have a kind of a regular group that we get to see every week that comes to this. So if you're part of that group, welcome back. If you're new to this Fireside Friday, we've been doing these since since March. So it's been quite a while now. We started this as a response to the COVID and getting in touch with industry leaders and finding out what's going on. And we've just continued doing it. I'm very enthusiastic about our call today. We've got Geoff Lewis, who is the Chief Executive Officer for JP & Associates Franchising. And so welcome, Geoff. We're delighted to have you here. And then as we've done in the last month, Kelly White is joining me. She is T360's Chief Operating Officer and also leads our talent work that we're currently doing for a number of our clients. So again, welcome everybody. Welcome, Geoff. Thank you so much for coming on board for a call with us. I'm delighted to have you. I think I just wanted to find out a little bit about kind of, how are you doing? How's your team? How's JP & Associates? How have you guys been holding up with the quarantine and kind of all the craziness we've talked to a lot of real estate leaders, and we'd love to know what's been your personal experience and how are things over in your organization?
Well, hello, Jack and Kelly. Good to be with you today. Thank you for asking. I've been, my family and I have been very blessed. We're all healthy. No one has been sick, and the JPAR team as well. Nothing there. So we're just, really pleased about that and hope and pray that we all stay healthy. From a personal standpoint, it's been kind of interesting. One of my sons is in the prototypical 2020 story. He was working for a large law firm in New York City, and in March they told everyone to work from home. He has a young family and was living in Westchester County, which was one of the hot spots for COVID. Mm-hmm. So his wife's family lives in Portland, Maine, so they moved into the basement of his wife's parents' house and said, if I work from anywhere, I'm going to work from Portland, Maine, not be in New York City. And then in June, he announced, if I can work from anywhere, we're going to move to Colorado and buy a house there. So they did move here, and he looked and found a job here in Colorado. And, the housing market's crazy. They were in a situation with, multiple offers over asking price, but they got into a house. The exodus from the city to the suburbs and from the big cities to some of the smaller cities. We've kind of seen all of that in our family, but grateful that we've all stayed healthy and employed through all of it. And JPAR, from a business standpoint, March, April, May, things slowed down, I think just because of uncertainty. Yeah. And then June started picking up, and July and August have been record months, again, as we see people wanting to move to the suburbs, get bigger houses, bigger yards, houses with home offices. Business is really good right now. We've been on the franchising side. We've converted to selling franchises virtually during the COVID stay-at-home orders, and we've sold a lot of franchises during this period. People are at home. We can get a hold of them. They're thinking about the future. They're thinking about where they need to be, and we've been able to be right there and take advantage of that.
That's great. Yeah. So, and we've seen that kind of like you echoed several of the trends that we've heard from other real estate leaders as we've been talking to people about how the market came back in, June, July, August, and that move to virtual. And you're in Colorado right now, currently? I am
in Colorado. This is where I live. JP & Associates is headquartered in the Dallas area, Frisco. Yep. And so when I joined, adopted a schedule of commuting every other week, being on the road every other week, being at home. So I had started working at home, gotten somewhat used to that. Then when the stay-at-home orders hit in March, I've pretty much just been working here, out of my home in Colorado and becoming very familiar with Zoom.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, as we all have. Well, tell us a little bit about your background, because you've been in the industry for a while and you have a lot of accomplishment in the industry prior to being at JPAR. So I just tell us a little of your story. And I went through your LinkedIn, so I don't want to probe. I want you to tell it, but give us the highlights. How did you come into the industry and where were you before?
So I started out in law and legal practice and worked in the big law firm world for a while and then went in-house. And about 15 years ago, was approached about general counsel opportunity at RE/MAX, um, and had lived in Denver before and was looking for an opportunity to get back to Denver, where RE/MAX is headquartered. So I took that opportunity and just fell in love with the real estate industry. One of the interesting things that happened is about the time I joined RE/MAX was you veterans will remember when the Department of Justice was suing the National Association of Realtors
Mm-hmm.
over IDX and other issues. And I got very interested in that and got up to speed on it and felt like all the press was very negative on the industry and sort of pro Department of Justice, and felt like the industry wasn't being well represented. Of course, NAR was a great voice for the industry. And so I wrote a white paper about my view, the need no need for a governmental intervention into the industry, felt that we were self-regulated very well. My white paper kind of went viral within the industry. I was invited, the Department of Justice and the FTC put on a joint workshop on the real estate industry. I was invited to speak at that workshop. And then there was a congressional subcommittee that was doing an inquiry, and NAR invited me to give expert testimony in front of Congress on that subject. I did that, and so that sort of cast me into some prominence in the industry, and really became more interested in the business side than on the legal side. So after a period of time at RE/MAX, I was promoted to the position of president, and was pleased to be able to serve as president of RE/MAX for many years until I decided 2 years ago to retire. And my story there was traveled the world with my wife, checked off all the items on the honey-do list. I'm not a golfer. So I was kind of sitting around wondering what to do. And Kelly White introduced me to JP, introduced JP to me, said, JP and Associates is a very successful Texas-based brokerage, largest independent broker in Texas, 25 offices, 2,000 agents. Excuse me, let me shut that off.
Yeah, all good.
And said he was looking to franchise, and given my background franchising with RE/MAX, thought that it would be interesting for the two of us to talk. I had been seeing when I was at RE/MAX that our U.S. agent growth was slowing, still growing, but slowing, and seeing that a lot of the agents were going to these 100% commission transaction fee companies, and really saw that was the fastest growing segment in the industry. And that is the essence of the JPAR model. So I was very intrigued about the opportunity to get involved kind of on the ground floor of a growth opportunity in the segment of the industry that I thought was fastest growing. JP is a very charismatic guy. I saw in his energy and in his vision what in my mind was a young Dave Liniger. I officed right next door to Dave Liniger, the founder of RE/MAX, for many years. He obviously, was a visionary 45 years ago when he started RE/MAX with the RE/MAX model. Although I didn't know Gary Keller, again, I felt like, JP was going to be one of the next visionaries in the industry to take over in the footsteps of people like Dave Liniger and Gary Keller. So he convinced me to commute every other week to Texas or wherever we needed to go to build a business. It's been a little over a year now, and it's been a great ride.
That's one of the things I love about these calls is that when I had no idea about that white paper and your kind of some of the early work that you were doing with the industry in that regard. And so it's fascinating. I love learning about that kind of thing, because how else do you find out? Somebody's got to tell you. So that's really great. And the industry apparently wasn't. You tried to retire, but the industry was not done with you.
Yeah, love the industry, so I'm glad to be back in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, Kelly, why don't you talk a little bit about? I know we have a theme this month, so let's talk a little bit about our theme.
Yeah, so our theme this month is focusing on newer business models and companies that might not have, that are rapidly growing but not as maybe well recognized in the industry. So Geoff, tell us a little bit about JP and Associates, more specifically about how the model is unique and different, maybe any misconceptions about the model, how it benefits the agent and the consumer. Tell us what your attraction to the model was.
Great. Well, so the model, from an economic standpoint, is 100% commission, transaction fee, a low transaction fee for the agent. So it's very attractive from that standpoint. But we are a full service model, full service broker model. Notwithstanding the better economics, we still offer, all the support, all the training, all the technology at a level 2 or better than what you find in the bigger players in the industry. We're a very agent-centric model. Not only the economics agent-centric, attractive to the agent, but we provide the agent with the support, the training, and the tools that they need, at a level 2 or better than they can find, anywhere else. I think that's one of the misconceptions about the 100% commission transaction fee model, is that you don't get the support or services or the technology, and we do provide that. When it comes to technology, what JP often says, and what I agree with is, you need to decide, are you a real estate company or are you a technology company? And we are a real estate company. Some of the bigger companies out there have decided to, bring technology in-house and sort of become hybrid quasi technology companies. But one of the sort of fundamental principles in business is when it comes to assets and our services, do you want to rent or do you want to own, right? And kind of the fundamental principle in business is, if it's an appreciating asset, you want to own it. Like a house, for example. If it's a depreciating asset, you're better off renting it. Well, what a better example of depreciating assets than technology. With advances in technology, any technology asset is going to become outdated, very, 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 very quickly. So, by renting technology or partnering rather than trying to build it ourselves, we're able to pivot when better tech. We're able to partner with the best technology companies out there. We're able to pivot when better technology comes along. The third-party technology companies, there's just a ton of money coming into prop tech, and they're really good people in that industry. They're really good engineers. Do they want to work at a big real estate company where they're an ancillary business and they're punching the clock and getting paid a salary, or do they want to work in an exciting startup where they've got some equity in the company and an opportunity to really build something? And so we always know that there's some kid in his Stanford dorm room who's building the next best thing. And when that comes along, we want to be able to pivot and to offer it to our brokers and our agents. So we believe we've built one of the best tech suites in the industry. Another thing that's key to JPAR is that we have a productivity standard. For me, coming from RE/MAX, which has very high agent productivity, that was very important. And one of the misconceptions I think about the transaction fee companies, because they are lower fee, is that they're body shops, and don't have good agent productivity, don't have good agents. At JPAR in Texas, we set a standard of a minimum of 6 transactions per agent. Currently, we're doing about 8. So, we're proud of the fact that we do have a productivity standard, and that attracts better agents. We've also been very innovative with things like agent healthcare. There are other companies now out there that are offering it, but we were one of the first. And then a significant differentiating factor for us is that we offer a back office, a compliance, and CDA support. So for our franchise offices, we have a compliance department that will review all of their forms for compliance, and then we'll actually, issue the CDA. So that's something that our brokers, we want them to focus on building their business. We want them to focus on recruiting, and we take that off their shoulders. And that's included in the fee we charge. There's no extra fee for that. And to my knowledge, we're the only company out there that offers that. And then we have a culture of productivity, as I mentioned, and a culture of service. We have a Better Future Foundation, which is our charity. We actively contribute to that and encourage our brokers and agents. We believe that giving back to the community is an important part of our culture. So that kind of in a nutshell is
that's a lot.
Is where we are.
Yeah, that's I think one of the things that surprised me when I learned about the company was the fact that you were more focused on more full-time agents, on agents that were, because I think I even had the same misconception to say, well, if it's a fee company, it's probably people that are just looking for a place to hold their license. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just a different kind of company when you have that focus on productivity and the culture that supports it. So yeah, that is different than what I expected. So.
Yeah, and we have we've developed a really good mentorship program. So if someone is falling below the standard, we require them to either join a team or go into our mentorship program. And the mentorship program is great. There are a lot of experienced agents out there who want to be mentors to younger agents. So we have this program, and the agent, and it allows us to bring in new agents right out of real estate school as well, because they can get paired up with a mentor. We charge them a split, and a part of that split goes to the mentor, and a part of the split goes to the company. Mm-hmm. And once they graduate the program, then they're at the productivity level that we want to see. That mentorship program is something we share with our franchisees so that mm-hmm. they can offer it as well. And we think that's a differentiator factor for JPAR as well.
Yeah, that's a really fair way to compensate your experienced agent who is spending time mentoring. That's great. We did get a question, and I was going to ask you the same question, which is, what are some of the tech that you use that you guys like or would want to talk about? Because I know I'm aware. I think when I met JP through Travis Saxton, who was doing some work with the company at the time, he had a real nose for different technologies. He was into all kinds of stuff. So what are you guys using today that you feel like you can talk about?
So our core technology is KV Core from Inside Real Estate. I saw that question from someone who's out there listening saying they're already using KV Core. So we are using KV Core. We are, because of our size and our scale, we're able to negotiate some, unique aspects of KV Core that are not part of their standard product. We also, that's included in our fees. Mm-hmm. Being able to negotiate preferred pricing, because of our size and our scale. We also use the Broker Wolf product from Lone Wolf, and that's something else that we give to our franchisees. We recently adopted Lone Wolf's Transaction Desk, which is a transaction management platform. We had been on SkySlope. We just recently switched over to Transaction Desk. And then we have our own internal technology, which we call BOSS, B-O-S-S-S, which stands for Broker One-Stop Shopping System. That is our sort of centralized communication platform. The KV Core is CRM lead management website tool. BOSS is a proprietary technology for us. That offers a lot of tools to the agents and also allows us to plug in third-party technology where agents can pay extra for a single sign-on plug-in technology that covers the full range of tech tools that are out there.
That's great. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. I'm sure there's a few people on the call that really appreciate it, saying like, "Hey, here's the things that we use that we like." That's always helpful to find out what companies that have kind of spent some time thinking about it have picked, and it serves as a good benchmark. I like the bot that you've tied all these, because that's one of the challenges. You use a lot of different companies' technology. You do have to kind of bring them together into some common framework, so where you can send agents to one place and they can get to the variety of tools that are offered. So I think that's we're seeing more and more of that as we're working with companies that are using third parties. They're kind of integrating it into one, whether you call it a hub or a single login page or something like that. Very important. So Kelly, do you want to? We talked about the new models, and you want to talk about challenges and kind of where industry's headed?
I was also curious, Geoff, we were talking before the call just about trends. I know you're in multiple markets. You're in Texas, you're in Florida, and you were already starting to talk about some of the things that you're seeing. So maybe tell us about the markets you're in and what the trends you might be seeing, and then I guess maybe the challenges that you're seeing right now or you think might be on the horizon in the next 6 to 12 months.
Sure. So we are in 19 states, primarily southeastern U.S., but also moving west into Oklahoma, Colorado, Idaho. So we are, in markets that are growing, and trends that we're seeing are people moving out of the big cities. The New Yorks, the Chicagos, the San Francisco, the Seattle, are moving into the markets where we are, and that's been a trend that we've been seeing over a number of years. COVID is sort of accelerating that exodus, not only from those cities, but from the downtown areas and the cities where we are, out to the suburbs where people feel safer, where they can get larger homes, larger yards, where people working from home wanting more space, wanting a home office, and so we are seeing tremendous activity right now. Unfortunately, like a lot of places, shortage of inventory,
Yes.
right? And so multiple offers, bidding wars on properties on the market, staying on the market for a very, very short period of time. But that's what people are going for. In terms of challenges in the industry, overall challenges, brings me to something I'm really excited to talk about, something new that we're doing at JPAR. I think one of the biggest challenges that brokers and agents are facing right now is keeping the agent at the center of the transaction. With a lot of technology advances and a lot of new business models out there, it's important to keep the agent at the center of the transaction and keep the agent relevant. Some of the trends that we're seeing in the industry, see one of the ones that's impacted the industry, you've gotten the most attention in the industry is, iBuyers, the instant offer companies, and the open doors, the offer pads, that they've proven that there was a niche. Who thought that someone would be willing to sell their home at a 15% discount to market price?
Right.
But certainty and speed and convenience have proven that there's sort of a niche in the market for someone who can sell quickly, know what the price is going to be, and not have to go through all the steps of putting a house on the market and contract negotiation and inspection and showings and all of that. But the industry responded very quickly, with instant offers. We at JPAR set up an instant offer program, and even companies outside the industry like Zillow, came up with instant offers, and Redfin and Realogy, and then another sort of more recent sort of subset of that is the trade-in companies. Knock is a good example of the trade. Buy your house now and move into it, and we'll give you some money to fix up your old house and sell it. So what we've done at JPAR, again, as I said, I think a big challenge is keeping the agent, the broker, at the center of the transaction. So we've come up with something called JPAR Sure Sale. And so there are three aspects to it. There's when the agent goes on a listing presentation, it's you can list with JPAR, traditional listing, and you'll sell your house at market price. If you want an instant offer, we'll give you an instant offer. If you want to do a trade-in, we'll help you facilitate a trade. So we sure sale. We say we've got JPAR list, JPAR trade, and JPAR offers. We have partnered with Knock on the trade, and on instant offers, we've partnered with a company called Zavvy, which is kind of like a price line for instant offer companies. They go out and solicit instant offer quotes from all of the instant offer companies. So a JPAR listing agent can go in and offer all of those options to the consumer, and the agent is going to get paid. Knock is paying the agent commission, and the instant offer companies are paying a commission to the agent. So the agent is going to get paid. So they're really going to look out for what's in the best interest of the seller. So we're just now launching this JPAR Sure Sale program, and we think it's going to be tremendous, and we think it will allow the agent to pivot whatever is going on in the industry. We're going to have a sort of the smorgasbord of opportunities for the seller, so we're not tied to any particular model.
Yeah, and we know that most people end up listing traditionally. They, so I think it also gives that agent the benefit of being able to market to say, hey, I can, if you want an instant offer or you want to do a trade-in because you're worried about selling your home and buying a home at the same time, we can do that for you. And that kind of gives them a little bit more, not just something at the listing presentation, but also on the front end to be able to say, hey, these are ways I can help my clients. So that's pretty slick. Pretty slick.
Yeah. I mean, what we're finding is, 80% of the time, the seller says, I'll take door number one. I want the most for my property, and so it is, is a way to convert leads into listings.
Right.
Yeah. Very cool.
Totally see that.
I see JP posting at jparssuresale.com.
Yeah. Yes, he's commenting and he's saying, hey,
more
so.
Please go
yeah.
there.
And I think for the brokers that are not, obviously not with your company, I mean, there's some lessons to be learned here. You guys have done some thinking about how to package and make your agents more, more competitive, more capable of helping their consumer with some different options that, for the industry are really fairly new. I mean, these are new things.
So I've said, I think one of the challenges for the industry is to keep the agent at the center of the transaction. Another challenge in the industry right now, I think, is keeping the broker relevant to the agent. Had an interesting dialogue a few years ago when I was president of RE/MAX at the time when Zillow bought .loop. We had a large number of RE/MAX agents who were using .loop, and they many of them just freaked out and immediately went to all kinds of conspiracy theories about, now that Zillow owns .loop, Zillow's going to be able to have access to all my transaction documents, all my transaction information, and oh, this is terrible, and this is just another step along the path of Zillow becoming a broker. This is terrible. The sky is falling, and so I felt the need to reassure our agents. So I called Spencer Raskoff, the CEO of Zillow at the time, and I called Austin Allison, the founder and CEO of .loop at the time, both of whom I knew well, and said, guys, I know you're not going to be looking at our transaction documents. I mean, that would just be flatly illegal for you to be doing that. And these conspiracy theories are ridiculous. I need to call my agents and my brokers. I want to be able to say that I called each of you, and you reassured me that will not happen, and that you're not looking to get into the brokerage business. And Allison said, yes, I'm happy to say that. And Spencer Raskoff said, yes, I'm happy to say that. You can quote me on that. In fact, Geoff, your annual broker owner conference is coming up in 2 weeks. I'd be willing to fly out to Boston, where you're holding your conference this year, and meet with your brokers and reassure them personally. And so I said, great, Spencer, I'm gonna take you up on that offer. Well, a couple of days before the conference, Spencer called me and said, hey, really sorry, my schedule's changed. I can't make it to your conference, but I'll send Errol Samuelson, kind of his number two. Errol will come out and deliver that message. So we had all our brokers there in our conference, and we had Errol up on stage, and he talked about, the reason they had bought .loop, and no, we're not going to be looking at transaction documents. And then he opened it up to questions. And of course, the first question from the audience was, is Zillow going to become a broker?
Right.
That's what everyone was worried about. And Errol said, no, look, it is not our goal to become a broker. And so next question. So I said, okay, Errol, I have a question for you. Is it Zillow's goal to disintermediate the broker? And Errol went silent and stuttered and stammered and said, typically one of the things that an agent relies on a broker for? Leads, right? Well, now Zillow wants to give them
Right.
leads. Other people want to give them leads, and with a lot of the technology that's out there, that's the challenge: is how is the broker going to stay relevant? To get the agent to pay fees to the broker. And I think the answer to that is, you've got to generate leads on your own. You've got to provide them the tools, the technology, the training, but you've got to be there personally. You've got to have that culture and that relationship. And I think one of the things we've learned from this COVID stay-at-home orders, you all remember by the end of, they started early March. By the end of March, we were reading everywhere, commercial office space is dead. The work environment has been permanently changed forever. Everyone is going to be working at home. It's the new normal. And by the end of June, people, we're starting to hear words like Zoom fatigue, right? And COVID 30 or COVID 15 and COVID 30 and realizing, well, there's some downsides to working at home, and people saying, hey, I miss being with my colleagues in the office. I miss the personal interaction. Zoom is okay, but it's not the same as being there in person. Well, same thing, agents are saying, hey, although for years, most agents have been working pretty much virtually, right? They still like, hey, I'd like to be able to have an office I can drop in and grab coffee and catch up with my colleagues on, how things are going, being talked to my broker face to face. So brokers, the challenge, they need to provide that culture, that personal relationship, that environment that agents are going to want to be in, and they're going to see the value of being with the broker and be able to fend off these Zillow and tech companies that are finding ways to try to disintermediate the broker from the agent.
Yeah, that's a really strong narrative. I've always found that brokers are pretty incredible business people, the ones that are running well-run brokerage, and that's from my perspective, many agents get into kind of being in the real estate business because they want to be a business person for themselves, and so they have a lot to learn from that broker, and then also sometimes there are business solutions that a broker can bring to their agent, similar to the relationship you guys have with Knock and with Zabby and some of the other business and tool relationships. So that's really great.
Yeah, another example I thought was interesting is it's not a terribly well-known industry, but there's an industry out there, auto brokers. Someone instead of going to the dealer to buy your car, you can go to an auto broker, and the broker helps you decide what kind of car you want. Goes to the dealership, helps you negotiate. He doesn't care whether you buy the car or whether you lease the car, right? So like the JPAR Sure Sale model, the agent, you want to list, you want to trade, do you want an instant offer? Whatever is best for you, and that broker makes a commission on that transaction, helps you get the best price. And the larger auto brokers, then they provide financing, right? That's where the real money is, and that's true in real estate, right? On the mortgage side, there just seems to be a lot more money there than there is on the real estate brokerage side. And so Knock, for example, is they will provide the financing. But so in the auto broker industry is an example of where the broker can pivot to offer the buyer, the seller, whatever best fits their needs.
That's really good. Yeah. And are you guys doing anything in that space, in the affiliate space? I know some of the other brokers that are large, that kind of building out their network, have significant affiliate programs in terms of mortgage or title or home warranty. Is that an area of focus for you guys?
Yeah, so that allows me to, talking about financing, to segue into what we're doing there. So we have teamed up with a company called Avenue Technologies and formed a company called Intralend. chapter of Intralend. Ours is Intralend Exceed, and Intralend is a mortgage broker that primarily operates through an app that agent and consumers download onto their phone. The thing that is unique about our mortgage brokerage is that it is primarily agent owned. And because of RESPA, in the past, that really hasn't been possible. You have brokers who have ancillary businesses they're making a lot of money on, mortgage, title, property management. Agents really haven't been able to participate in that because of the anti-kickback laws under RESPA. But what we do with Intralend, our chapter is 80% owned by our agents who want to invest in it and own in it, and then it's 20% owned by JPAR. The key is that the profits that the brokerage generates are paid out in dividends based on share ownership, not based on the production that the agent actually contributes into the business. So I see in your chat bar someone was asking how you spell Intralend, and they spelled it correctly. It's all one word, Intralend. It's like introduction to lender. So the way it works is an agent can fast track the client's application on the Intralend app, get them pre-qualified, and solicit quotes from a variety of lenders. We have an in-house lender through Intralend, wholesale lender. But agents can invite their favorite lenders to participate in the Intralend app. We have Cardinal Financial as a champion lender in the app, so that it's a little bit like kind of the lending tree model. When lenders compete, the borrower wins, and as the bids come in, the agent then shares them with the buyer, and the buyer selects the mortgage company that they want to work with. And Intralend will earn a fee as part of that transaction, and then again, as those revenues, as those profits build up, we then pay out dividends to our agents who are owners of the brokerage. So this is something that we are just now rolling out, just getting started, but we think it's a model of the future. Great incentive for agents to participate. It's an agent attraction tool, and it's an agent retention tool.
Yeah, that really is. And so are the agents that are owners, are they the only ones participating, or can all of your agent base participate in using those lenders? They just happen to reap the rewards of it.
All agents can use the app. We encourage all our agents to use the app. We think it's a really great app, really great technology, a very quick and efficient way for them to put their clients through the financing part of the transaction. But to participate in dividends, they have to invest and become an owner. But the investment levels are very low, anywhere from $500 to $20,000. So it's easy for agents to participate in ownership.
And so then the consumer goes online through the app and is able to complete their 1003 and their loan application. Is that how that works, or through your agent's app or through your company app?
Yes, when the agent inputs them into the agent's app, then Intralend sends a link to the consumer. Excuse me. Sorry, where I live, we're still required to have a home phone.
Yeah.
Because it ties into our I live in Colorado, I live in the woods. Our houses are actually all sprinkled.
Yeah.
And it ties into the fire alarm system. So pardon me for that ringing in the background. But yeah, the agents can come in and participate as investors and use the app, whether they're investors or not.
I love that. That's really awesome.
That is awesome. I mean, come on. I mean, who wouldn't want to be part of that? I mean, that's a very cool program. If you're, if you're already doing business and you have a lender you like, get them into that. So that's very smart.
Well, the broker who wants to keep all the mortgage profits for himself doesn't want to participate in it, but the broker who wants to allow the agents to share in it and use that as an agent attraction retention tool, it's very attractive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I'm saying from an agent's perspective, that's cool.
Right.
you've got a nice mousetrap there. So,
Yeah, and if they have a lender, that they really like, as most agents do, they just invite their lender to join, and then that lender can bid on their clients' transactions.
yeah, wow, that's really great.
Any other best practices, Geoff, that you would want to share with our group that you think are important to building businesses, and anything you recommend?
Well, just generally, I think that an important thing for anyone in the business today is we hear this a lot. You hear it over and over. We're in a relationship business. We're in a relationship business, and so it's important with the sort of tidal wave of technology that's coming into our industry to keep in mind that we are in a relationship business, and technology should be used to supplement the relationships, not to replace the relationships. In other words, you need to maintain a live interaction with your clients, and not be too distracted by every shiny object that comes along. One analogy I like to make is, if you think about the iPhone, right? Apple is just getting ready to roll out the iPhone 12. And they've actually had more than 12 iterations of the iPhone, because you remember you have like the 5, the 5S, the 6, the 6S, so I don't know, 14 to 15 iterations of the iPhone. And every new version of the iPhone has some new bells and whistles on it. But when you think about it, going back to the original iPhone, how many of the dozens and dozens of bells and whistles have they added to the iPhone do you really use on a daily basis, right?
Yes.
I mean, the camera gets a little better with each model. The battery life gets a little bit better with each model, right? The storage gets a little bit larger with each model. But there are really only a few things that have been really impactful changes. For example, with Siri, something that we use.
Right.
Touch ID, facial recognition, but a lot of the ancillary stuff, it's really only the real techies like Jack, who get in. Who get into all of that, and every new release of iOS. So with technology, you need to have a basic suite of tools that really help you be more efficient in your business. Find the ones that work well for you, and again, use them to supplement your relationships, not to replace your relationships. And keeping in mind that your best source of business is always going to be, repeat and referral business. And don't use just technology to stay in touch with those past clients. Maintain the personal touch with them as well. I think it's important to always keep that in mind.
Such good advice.
Yeah, that's solid. Very
Especially
solid
right
advice. Yeah, that's
If
great.
you want to talk to people.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to people. Don't let the technology disintermediate your relationship with them. It's there to help you. So that's really great. Well, Geoff, you've shared a lot of information about your company, and I think that that's one of the cool things about seeing a newer company like a JPAR, who is working on innovating and growing and trying things and doing differently, is that there's a lot to be learned from that, regardless of where you are today or what business you're running today. You guys have put together a really compelling set of both business solutions and technology solutions and a unique culture. So we really appreciate you sharing it with our group. And I know we've gotten a lot of questions that have come in during the thing, and I'm sure we'll have more after from some of our clients who do a lot of work with us. So, but I just want to say thank you for sharing and for telling us a little bit more about you and the company. I feel like I learned a lot. I think Kelly, you probably feel the same. So, so we really appreciate you coming on, and to everybody listening, have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us again for our Fireside Fridays. We'll do it again next Friday. One last thing I wanted to say is the Swanepoel Trends Report is now out for pre-order. So if you are a follower of our Trends Report, to get the copy early, because it will save you about $30 if you pre-order your copy, and that means you'll get it the first week in December with the first shipment that we do. So if you already know you're going to buy it, go buy it. If you're new to the Swanepoel Trends Report, go to T3Trends Associatesrealtors.com. We're in I think our 16th edition now. So this is every year we write about 10 trends that we believe belong on the executive agenda of brokerage industry leaders, brokerage, franchise, MLSs, associations, any leaders in the industry. We think these are things that belong on your agenda as an executive. So if you're not familiar with it, t3trends.com. So
Jack, if I can comment on that, a couple of years ago, Stefan sent out a request to a lot of the industry leaders, asking them for quotes about the trends report, that he could put on the inside cover page. And the quote that I sent him, he ended up using. Let me share it with you. My father had a consulting company, and his motto was looking around corners. I believe it's important as a leader to be able to look around corners. So the quote that Stefan published from me said, in my position in the industry, it's important for me to be able to look around corners, and having the Swanepoel Trends Report is like having a mirror on the end of a 10-foot pole that I can hold around the corner. And I look forward with great anticipation every year to your Trends Report coming out. I think it's extremely insightful and useful. So
thank you for saying so. It's a big work for our company. We work on it very hard. We put a lot of the team on it. I've written for it. Kelly's written for it. It's a big work. So I appreciate you saying the kind words. So everybody, we'll see you next Friday. Geoff, thank you again for coming. And we look forward to more with everybody as we do these calls throughout the fall. So everybody have a great weekend.
All right, it's been a pleasure.
Bye, Geoff.
Yep.
Kelly, thanks again for hooking me up with JP.
You got it. So good to see you. Bye, Geoff.
Bye.
Bye, Kelly.
See ya.